Hi, I'm Devika and I am from India. I'm from the 22 batch, so the prime COVID batch. And right now I am with a fund called Bloom Ventures. I am part of their platform team. Right. So before I joined ASB, I was with Goldman Sachs. So core investment banking, that was my first role out of my grad school. And I remember Ranjani is an alumni of ASB as well. She had referred to me and she said ASB is a great school. She had already arrived in Malaysia and I always had aspirations to study outside. And yeah, ASB happened. I got my offer letter and it was COVID, so I didn't look back. The end of my MBA, I realized that it was more a personal journey than a professional one because I think I grew a lot, especially when you come from a very corporate environment into a space where you're constantly doing projects, you're meeting people from so many different backgrounds that you have no idea even existed. Like, for example, I know I had folks from supply chain in my class and I had no idea what supply chain was at that point. It really just opens up your worldview. It gives you a lot of horizontal perspective that you can then choose to build on vertically, right? So it's like walking through an exhibition. And I think I came out a lot more confident in my abilities. I came out a lot more articulate in my thoughts. And I was able to ask better questions, which I think is very, very important. I would say I remember all of my action learning projects. I remember I had done one with Digital Penang. I remember I had done one with Top Glove. I remember I had done one with Copperleaf Analytics. What I'm trying to say is all of the projects were very, very ambitious. So when I got them, they were not some side projects where you just had to build presentations. I remember for Top Glove, we had to open up a new market for them. They wanted to enter into the personal care space, so shampoos, conditioners, and they are a traditional glove manufacturer. And I remember we did, and this was pre-AI, so we did all of the research by ourselves on like Google Scholar and a bunch of other platforms. And we drew out an entire brand strategy from them in terms of how do you enter the market as a consumer-first product. And doing that coming from investment banking, I think was a phenomenal experience. So yeah, I think I remember every piece of work I did, and I have all my presentations that professors shared in class even till today. And sometimes I do reference them back as well. So I think, of course, being masked wasn't the greatest thing in the world because you like half of your identity was gone. But I don't really think it changed much. I think it just added that extra resilience factor. I know we couldn't visit, let's say, the Top Glove office, for example, but we were there with them online. We had cadences, I think, once or twice a week. We had a shared drive. We got access to a lot of sort of leadership and we were able to communicate with them. I remember towards the end, we were still able to grab coffees with a bunch of these people once COVID started sort of resolving itself. But yeah, I don't think I'd do it. I don't think there was a better use of my time during COVID than doing this, if that's how I put it. Yeah. I think, yeah, so for us, I'm going to be full disclosure, right? During COVID, I think it was a little hard to, at least initially, the whole psychology, right? What is it? Forming, norming, storming, performing. A lot of forming, norming, and storming happened only halfway into the program. So I would say, for me personally, I was not able to throw a wider net in terms of network building. But what I was able to do was really go deep with a couple of my relationships, right? So I remember we have this girl gang and we worked on like 3 or 4 projects together. And my closest friends today are the same people. In fact, I'm meeting one of them right after this, right? So I think it gave me lifelong friendships. It gave me different perspectives, even with people I didn't really agree with. I was able to still hear them out, understand where they come from. But I think overall, it was great fun. And honestly, I think I did a better job building the relationships post-program, asking them for coffee versus in program, because as students you're just kind of like eye to eye, but when you've graduated, it's more relaxed. So I think I still have access to those people, and I think I like the idea of that. Yeah. I would think, especially most relevant in today's world, would be the ability to ask the right question. And it sounds very simple, but let's say if I put a new problem statement in front of you right now, right, that is, let's say, maritime technology, wind propulsion, nuclear technology, fossil fuel replacement. You might not have a very clear idea on what that is, but you might be able to discover it only by the ability and the depth of your questions. And your first 5 questions would probably accelerate your performance versus anyone else in the market, right? And I think ability to ask the right questions, to frame, and scoping. I can't tell you how many times we were told during our action learning projects, scope out your problems, scope them out, because every time you took a piece of a problem, we realized it was too big. And then the importance of really shaving it down to this very specific, magnified version of that problem is what you want to work with. And I think that has been very, very influential to me as well. Oh, actually, all of my things that I did, all of the interesting roles that I did right after MBA was all connections. It was all through ASB, I remember. So I was a digital nomad for, I think, 2-ish years right after MBA, which means I traveled across Southeast Asia. That was trending at that time, right? And I was doing growth for a bunch of startups. I was working with a UK-based cosmetics company, which was a connection. I was working with a manga publisher in the US, which was a connection from somebody at ASB. And those connections, of course, led to more connections then. One of my classmates, Nanda, he actually connected me to another company that was doing tokenizations, so Web3 space. I worked with a project with them. All of these were pure play from people. So actually 90% of my opportunities came from there. In fact, the last role that I also did in Kazakhstan was also because of an alumni, right? So I would say the only role I've applied for is the one I'm doing right now. But before that, everything has been through connections and referrals. Overall, if I were to sum it up, I think it made me comfortable with being seen. And I think that's half of the battle is what is your ability to be seen, be exposed, feel like vulnerable, to be standing on stage, to be standing in front of your action learning coaches, to be able to be critiqued in public, to be able to sit like this in front of a camera and speak your mind. I think that is so, so, so important in your career journey. I think it shapes your executive presence as you go up the career ladder. And for me, especially, I remember that time we had Professor Lordana and a bunch of these really cool folks, right? But yeah, I think your ability to be seen, which kind of shapes your confidence. Yeah, I would say it's the most condensed, intense experience that you would want. And I love that the program is not too long winded. It's nice and I would say just right in terms of time. The world is looking at Asia right now. And all my meetings recently, everybody, we had the same discussion like the world is looking at Asia right now. If you want to really make change, it's probably going to be from here. And so if you're going to be on this soil, you're probably going to get the first access to whatever is coming next in the world, right? Singapore is accessible. Malaysia has a bunch of very interesting folks, especially if you're from the more traditional industries like oil and gas. Yeah, I think you just have to be here to feel the energy here. I'm very, very excited for this space. There's going to be a lot being built from here, from a geopolitics lens, from a maritime supply chain lens, from an oil and gas lens, even from a sustainability angle. Actually, Asia is going to be front running it. In fact, like I was reading, 47% of global climate investments are actually going into Southeast Asia. That's a very big number. And so I don't think anybody would want to miss out that train. And ASB sits smack in the middle of it, so I think it's a great space to be.
Memory that had nothing to do with studying.
Oh, I would say we used to take a walk around the campus a lot, like just back here. and there are lots of cats around ASB and around KL actually. So I remember my colleague and I, my classmate and I, Siwar, her name was, I love her, she's doing amazing work as well. She and I would wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, two crazy women, we would just tie our hair, we would carry cat food, and we would just take a walk around the city. I have walked from here to KLCC and back. I have walked from here to Kenny Hills and back and fed every cat that we see on the road, and this used to be like our weekend activity, and I'll never forget that. I think it was everything you needed. Great walk, you're in nature, you're interacting with cats. Yeah, it was great.
Fake it till you make it kind of moment.
Every moment is fake it till you make it. I think even now it's fake it till you make it, right? But I would try to like word that a little bit. I would say, in fact, I was discussing this yesterday with also an ASB alumni, and we were talking about how sometimes you have to speak it before you do it, right? And if your intentions are right in the right place, you will do it anyway. But I think every presentation was fake it till you make it. Yeah, I don't think we ever felt fully prepared, right, for any of these action learning. No matter how much you did, we had a V1, V2, V3 final deck. Yes, but yeah, the presentation is always fake it till you make it. I think even a lot of C-suite folks, even now, I'm sure there's a little bit of fake it till you make it. Yeah.